Testing 1 2 3. Testing 1 2 3. This guy right here is going to get people killed. This guy right here is going to get people killed. Anybody that died to this day, his blood, their blood should be on this guy's hand. Same thing goes for Governor Cuomo and anybody who's doing whatever they can to shame a known medication that's known to be safe, that's been out for over 60 years, that if you give it in its proper dosage, it should cause no problem. But yet, it is essential to getting rid of this virus out the body. I'm Rob Brown with the Rob Report. Let's get into this. That general right there is Tedros Adhanom. He is the Director General of the World Health Organization. He's from Ethiopia. Now, I was told that Ethiopia was one of the main culprits in slavery. Well, we're not going to get into that because it doesn't matter. And I'm going to try not to cuss because these people are horrible. These people are despicable. Same thing goes for the CDC, Anthony Fauci and his organization, and you name it. Because of big money from companies like Gilead, people like Bill Gates, they're doing whatever they can to railroad a known drug, a cheap drug, a drug that is safe, along with two other drugs. It's a combination of drugs. And they want to do whatever they can to keep you from knowing about it, from seeking about it, and from getting treated with it. Because of money. Because of money. Now, the reason I haven't had myself up here where you can see me up to now is because this is painful. This is really hurt. This really hurts. But after all my tears, I'm back. And here I am. Yeah, I got a new microphone. Testing it out. It's nice. I just did a review on it on Big Rob Reviews, and I'm telling everybody that if they do want to start out in podcasting and start out in YouTube content creating and start your own show, the more black media, the better. The more people movement media, the better. Get this mic. I'm going to do a review of it. Less than $70. And it is awesome. It is awesome. So I'm going to go ahead and keep it. And I'm going to keep it for the show. But let me talk about this. The World Health Organization, WHO. I really want to say, who in the hell are you to tell me that I can't take a treatment? And who are the hell are you to try to come up with a treatment and make it mandatory for people to take? Who the hell are you to try to keep me confined in my house? Now, don't get me wrong, folks, because I know it's a lot of Democrats watch the show. I believe in doing everything safely and slowly. Not everything. Some things you just got to, go for it. But I believe in safely and slowly. But when it comes to treating this people for this virus, you got to work swiftly. We just don't understand that we're at war. This virus means to kill. It means to steal. It means to destroy you physically, emotionally. You think of it. If it's not going to get you, it's going to get somebody that you love. And we'll often talk about wash your hands, stay cautious, and things like that. You're often on your P's and Q's. You don't want to go up the street. You don't want to go around the house. Somebody come walk down the same sidewalk as you walk. You go on the other side. You can't hug people no more. You can't even grab your girl and suck her neck and pull on her lips. Whatever. You can't smack her behind. She can't smack your behind. You can't do none of that because of this virus. And then they tell you about a new normal that we're going to have to enter into. In other words, they're using this they're going to use this to create a new America. They're going to use this to create a new world. One virus. When in actuality, the virus isn't as big as we make it. Don't get me wrong. As big as only as we don't treat it. And as long as we don't treat it like any other virus, any other major sickness, any other major disease, it can kill you. The key is treat early, so you don't have to worry about it later. When they diagnose you with cancer, they go right into treatment right away. They don't wait till they come up with a cure for cancer because we don't have one. So why are we doing the same thing when it comes to the coronavirus, COVID-19? Why are we waiting for a cure or a promising drug backed by a corporation that you have to really be in extreme dire strait in order to even participate in what they call the compassionate studies, compassionate treatment? Where, in other words, you got to literally beg for this drug in order to stay alive because you have no other choice. You're going to die. So when Dr. Trump heard from Dr. Zeb Zelenko, who is a prominent doctor here in the county that I live in, treated a legacy and treated many communities, he decided to see what's working in the world and see if he can save his own Jewish community, because a lot of them was dying like flies. We had a brash of a burst of COVID that happened here in New Rochelle, and then it trickled up because a lot of those people that went to the synagogue in New Rochelle live in different places like Monroe and Muncie and all that kind of stuff in New York. So people were getting sick in where his practice is. So Dr. Zeb Zelenko, and you can go check him out. He's on website, and I'm going to feature a couple of his videos up here soon. He began to see what they were doing in Korea and why the numbers dropped so low. He began to see what they were doing in Italy and France, and why the numbers dropped down so low. So he began to look at different studies. And he saw that most of the people outside of this country was using hydroxychloroquine. But he wasn't using it long term. And they wasn't using it on, dire situations. They tried to use it on dire situations, but it wasn't working. We know this. So what they're going to tell you right now, we tried hydroxychloroquine on patients, and we didn't see any positive or good results, or people still died. Okay. With the drug or without the drug, if they're at a certain point, they're going to, 9 times out of 10, their chance of dying is still going to be at a high rate because the virus have ravaged the body. So he began to see in his studies that if applied these treatment early, hydroxychloroquine by itself, remember, from that you got from your doctor, that your doctor prescribed a certain amount for a certain amount of days, come back and see him, let him monitor your heart rate and things like that, where he pretty much can monitor those who he gave it to early. A lot of them, not all of them, but a whole bunch of them, majority of them, end up becoming COVID free. Why? It's because to make up the hydroxychloroquine, they want you to think hydroxychloroquine is the cure, and that people going around saying hydroxychloroquine is a great cure for COVID. Nobody said it was a cure. It's not a cure. Cure means you can never get it again. It's not a cure. It's one part of 3 treatments that get rid of this virus. One part, and it has a part. Hydroxychloroquine main part to play is to open up the door for your natural healing factories to go in and defeat the virus if you do it early. That's the only thing. There's nothing magical by hydroxychloroquine. But they said that it could cause heart attack. Yeah, if you got heart issues, you shouldn't be taking this medicine. There's other, what they call zinc ionophores, something that can open up the door to let something in to kill the virus. There's other things beside hydroxychloroquine. And yeah, if you take it long term, it may affect some people, but there's a lot of people who take it for lupus, rheumatoid arthritis, muscular dystrophy, multiple sclerosis, you name it. People take this medicine long term, and you don't hear about a bunch of them getting a heart rate. So what's the difference between you and them other than the need for the physical ailment that they have? They're lying to us, and they're trying their best to stop this medicine from getting out to people. Why? Because they can't control us then, because we can really get back to normal. I'm going to talk about this today because it's very important to me. I want people to live. I want people to live. And right now, they're banking on that you get sick, go to the hospital, and they can try something on you like remdesivir. Yeah, Dr. Zelenko and his team of other doctors and doctors across the world said we don't want people going to the hospital because we don't need that kind of weight on the hospital system. We want to keep people out of the hospital. So thus they were giving people hydroxychloroquine first in the early stages, and a lot of people came out free. Some were better in within 32 hours, 48 hours. Some were better because of the hydroxychloroquine. A certain days, not all the time, not living on it. A small treatment for a certain amount of days, monitored by your doctor, showed proven results. Now, Trump began to mention this, and New York was at a point where we were willing to do anything. The death rate was so high. So Trump sent us, and I thank Trump for that, and I'm not a Trump fan, but I thank Trump for that. What's going to happen is this is going to end up causing Trump to win. And if this thing go through, Biden don't have a chance. Now, I don't want neither one of them for president, but I'm going to tell the truth. Governor Cuomo began to use this hydroxychloroquine, looking for a miracle, thinking it's going to cure people, and it was giving them treatment in a compassionate setting. When the treatment is supposed to be among diagnosis, early stage, within 5 days of you contracting the virus, not when you're halfway dead. But they tried to use it in the hospitals, and Governor Cuomo said, I don't see where it did anything. Some studies say, it didn't save people alive. Matter of fact, people still died. Whoever touted this as a cure? Who told you this should be used for just that particular situation? Their hearts are already ravaged. Their lungs are already torn up. You're going to need a miracle for that. And if you want to push remdesivir for a situation like that, that's where you push remdesivir. But the whole point is keeping people out of hospital to keep the weight off the system. But they want this. They want the weight on the system because the more people go to hospital, people still making money. Insurance companies don't have to pay you out for whatever disease. If you die, if you have cancer, they may say it was COVID. If you got a hangnail and you die of that, they're going to say it's COVID. Why? Because these insurance companies want to have no obligation to paying you, because this is something that never end up in your insurance papers. It's a money game. It's a money game. Now, through trial, Dr. Zelenko decided to use this medication for his community here in New York, just hydroxychloroquine and zithromycin. Now, where do the zithromycin come in? It is the cleaner. It is the cleaner. It goes in and clean the infected areas. See, most people, when they get COVID, a lot of them got it, don't even know it. A lot of them have it and don't even know it. But there's going to be some that's going to show symptoms: fever, cough. It's not going to be that bad. You're going to feel miserable, as the doctors say, but you'll be able to ride it out 10 to 14 days. Come see me. I'm not going to give you no medication. See, real doctors only going to give you the medication if you need to take the medication. But now we're getting to the point right now, as soon as we see the symptoms, it should be okay to give you the medication, because there is no shortage of hydroxychloroquine. And if it was, it'll be easy to ramp it up, especially if Trump do what he did when it came to the mask, emergency makeup. So they're trying to do whatever they can to keep us from the hydroxychloroquine for no logical reason at all. It may cause heart issues. So let's go here. I want to show you something from the World Health Organization. These guys are scumbags. Got me defending Trump and siding with Trump when it comes to this situation. Scumbags. Scumbags. WHO suspends hydroxychloroquine trial for coronavirus patients due to safety concerns. So this is the talking point to keep people from getting the treatment. You want to stop the whole thing because of safety concern? No, they want to invest in some vaccine. In the meantime, until they get the vaccine, people are dying every day. But if you use hydroxychloroquine the way it's supposed to be used, you can save 90% of the people who contracted in the early stages. And even then, those who are coming into the hospital inpatient, not quite in ICU, the chance of their survival rate is 50%, almost 50%. So the World Health Organization has suspended testing of the malaria drug hydroxychloroquine in coronavirus patients due to safety concern, according to the WHO Director General Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus. Now, once I hear this, U.S. President Donald Trump, I'm thinking this is political. What do he have to do with the studies of this medication on other people? If he want to take it prophylactically, that's his prerogative. He can do whatever he want to do. If he died for it, that's his problem. You Democrats will be happy. Some of you Republicans will be happy. I'm never happy when somebody die, because life is precious no matter who you are. Even when it came to the Koch brothers, I wasn't happy because I believe everybody can have a change of heart. Hydroxychloroquine has been touted by the U.S. president and others as an effective treatment of COVID-19. Now, right now, Trump hit the World Health Organization in the pocket. So to me, I think this is a clapback, a political attack on Trump. Mr. Trump said last week that he was taking the drug to help prevent infection, although he later announced that he had stopped taking it. Trump probably told you that because you're going to bother him until he do. There are studies right now going on at NYU Langone and many, many major phenomenal hospitals that are testing to see if this malaria drug or hydroxychloroquine can be used as a prophylactic. Why are they doing that? Because the number of people who use this medication long term, their rate of catching the virus is unlike anybody who don't use this medication at all. So people who are dealing with rheumatoid arthritis and different situations where they have to have the drug long term, the numbers are a little different for them than it is with the average Joe. So they are doing a study to see can it be done, used prophylactically, and if they prove that, they believe everybody in the medical field should prophylax themselves. So Trump decided to participate in the study. His prerogative. He can do what he want to do, but he'll influence somebody. Well, if grown people going to sit there and follow the president and do what he do, you can't do nothing about that. You can't. If you made it illegal, they'll find some way to get something to help them out. The thing is, you need to educate on them on what Trump is actually using. Because the man sat there and told you the whole time when he mentioned that he was using it, that it wasn't that alone, that he was using it with zinc. Zinc is the real killer of the coronavirus. The hydroxychloroquine is just the door opener. Well, where do the azithromycin come in? That is when you're already infected by the virus. The azithromycin is used to go in and clean the infection. See, they work as a tag team. Hydroxychloroquine is not touted to cure, and I don't know where people get this from. Hydroxychloroquine can aid your physical body in healing, but if for some reason your body isn't going to be doing, is losing the battle, then that's when the zinc come in. The hydroxychloroquine open the doorway to the cell so the zinc can kick in and go in and kill the bad guy, and the azithromycin cleans up the scene. It's that simple. Hydroxychloroquine opens up the door. Zinc goes in and kills the virus. Azithromycin cleans the area up that was affected. That's how simple it is. Going about getting the medication is simple. If you get sick, ride it out. If you feel that you may have it, or you go somewhere and they tell you you have it, get some medication, go ride it out for 14 days if you're 60 and under and show no major concerns physically. If you got heart issues and things like that, you don't take the hydroxychloroquine. There could be some other things that can open up the door for the zinc to get in. But you shouldn't be taking the hydroxychloroquine. But they're trying to make you think that if you take it, it could kill you. No, if you take it long term and you got heart issues, it is not good for you. It could kill you just like any other drug can kill you. So the World Health Organization, by them talking about Trump and this entire thing instead of talking about the medication, shows me this is political hit job. In an online media brief on Monday, Dr. Tedros said the temporary pause, so they're going to allow people to die. On the hydroxychloroquine arm of the WHO global clinical trial has been ordered after a paper was published in a leading medical journal. We're going to take a look at this lead medical journal. A study in the Lancet warned that hydroxychloroquine could cause heart problems. So let's look at this study in Lancet and see if we can find that. But let me continue to read this article. We already know before the Lancet study came out that hydroxychloroquine could cause heart problems. So can Tylenol. The bullet point here again, Donald Trump said he was taking the drug as a precaution against COVID-19. Other WHO trials will continue, including experimental drug remdesivir. So by you telling me you'll continue the other trials and you naming remdesivir, mean that you got a stake in this. You're doing this to get back at Trump. The paper, The Lancet, concluded people taking hydroxychloroquine are at high risk of higher problems than death. Who is Lancet? And what give them the authority to make that assumption? But we're going to look at Lancet. Because like I say, NYU Legon say nothing wrong with hydroxychloroquine. Matter of fact, it's cutting down the rate of our people getting into ICU. We was getting a bunch of people coming to ICU. Now we're cutting it down to almost 50% of people getting into intensive care unit. Not putting weight on our system when it comes to ventilators and things like that. But let's keep reading. The executive group has implemented a temporary pause on hydroxychloroquine arm within the Solidarity trial, while the safety data is reviewed by the Data Safety Monitor Board, Dr. Tedros said. He said the other arms of the trial, a major international initiative to hold clinical tests of potential treatment for the viruses, would continue. So why are you going to shut this one down that has a 90% rate of treating people and getting them COVID negative, why are you shutting this down? Because it's not about the hydroxychloroquine. So why are you making it all about the hydroxychloroquine? And what setting are you using the hydroxychloroquine in? If you're using it in a hospital setting, it is no medicine is good in the hospital. Maybe the remdesivir, but it's expensive and you got to be halfway dead to utilize that. We're talking about preventing people from getting to the hospital. The WHO had previously recommended using hydroxychloroquine to treat or prevent coronavirus infections, except as part of its clinical trial. So did the FDA. But why are you using hydroxychloroquine to treat the infection? Hydroxychloroquine's job is not to deal with infections. Hydroxychloroquine is the aid in getting the necessary medication to deal with the infection. If you're looking at hydroxychloroquine to deal with the infection, you're looking up your behind. I want to say the A word. Other treatments in the trial include the experimental drug remdesivir. See, this is all about pushing remdesivir. Right now, people are buying stocks in remdesivir. Remdesivir stocks is going up because of this potential drug. Why? Because so many people got COVID. They figure they can make a ton of money off this. This medicine is not free. And this medicine don't cost $5 like hydroxychloroquine with the zinc and the azithromycin. $5. Less than 5 cents a pill. Already been FDA approved for other conditions. Why you can't approve it for this condition? Well, we tried it on people in the hospital, and we didn't see no. Who told you to try it in that particular setting? You decided to do that. How about tried in early diagnosis, along with the 2 other drugs? Because you're making it about this one drug as if it's the cure or it is the damager in this situation. It is not. It's only an assistance. It's Robin. It's not Batman. Batman is the zinc. Having sung the praises of hydroxychloroquine during the coronavirus briefing, see, they're making this about Trump. And because of their political positions concerning this, maybe, and same thing with the Democrats. And see, you got to understand, World Health Organization, Trump is hitting them hard. Because he ain't going to take the blame for this whole thing himself. And rightfully so. I'm at fault, but y'all fools at fault too. Democrats, you can blame that on me, but I'm not all knowing. Why you didn't know about this stuff? Why nobody didn't talk to you? You always nosy about world affairs anyway. You want to stick your nose in other people's business. What could you have done? And same thing with my Republican comrades. What could you have done? Because you're looking at me like I can do it all. We're government. We work by checks and balances. I can't do it all without you. You have your role too. Having sung the praises during the coronavirus briefing, March and April, Mr. Trump stunned reporters on May 18th when he announced that he was taking it, even though he had not tested positive for COVID-19. Okay, let me stop here for a second. Let me bring myself up. Why are you stunned? If there's people who studying this who can have access to the president, and the people who studying this get information over to the president and say, you know, son, Mr. Trump, it looked like that there could be a chance that this could be used prophylactically. So why are you shocked? Why are you using it prophylactically? Well, we're starting to look at some studies and realize that people who take this medication long term, their chance of getting COVID is a little bit lesser than the chance of the average person getting COVID. So we're going to start studies into looking to see if you can use this prophylactically. Remember what I said. The unsafe part is a fabrication. The unsafe part is usually for those who probably have heart issues, people who may take it long term, but majority of the people, according to doctors and according to cardiologists, majority of the people can take this medication, a majority, especially for the time being or the time frame they use for treatment. And that time frame is less than 2 weeks. Less than 2 freaking weeks. But they make it seem like if you use this long term, it may cause heart issue. Who said that you may be using this long term? You're not going to be using this long term. You're only using this to get the treatment that you need. Now, let me talk about this for a second. People take aspirin to help them every night to help them deal with a heart attack. But they don't have a heart attack. Some people take aspirin when they have a heart attack. But there's some people who take aspirin every day to help them deal with their heart. They take it prophylactically. And there's a lot of medicine that people take prophylactically, but they don't, some people take medicine so they don't get something, especially when you go overseas. You take the malaria, you take hydroxychloroquine because you don't want to catch malaria. That means you're taking it prophylactically. So if doctors are saying there's a good chance that you could take this prophylactically and it may prevent, the key word is may. Nobody ever said it will. And if the president want to take a study, let him do what he want to do. He got a vice president. Something happened to him, Pence will be president. You can't override people's will. Not in the land of the free and home of the brave. That's the problem of this whole thing. This whole thing is a control mechanism. They're using this disease to keep you at home, to control the economy, to get money over to the rich, wealthy people, to keep you without work. 9 times out of 10, some of these companies are not going to hire you back. It's a mess. And it don't have to be that way, because here we go. There's treatment that if prescribed early by your doctor among diagnosis with a certain amount of dosage and a certain amount of days, your chance of faring well when you get COVID positive is 90%, meaning this thing could be out of your system. Just like any other disease that you catch, any normal cough or virus or bacteria or whatever, you go to the doctor diagnose you, the doctor come back and give you some medication. You go to, if they got it there, he'll give it to you there. If not, you go to, CVS pharmacy and pick up your prescription. You take it home and you take the amount of doses that the doctor tell you until it's all gone. You go back and get your treatment. He'll check your blood at work or whatever, and he'll give you the results whether it worked or not. This whole thing could be done and should be done and probably will be done once we break through the blackout, the smears, the lies. It's no different, nothing but politics and nothing but propaganda. Now, understand this, I'm not a doctor. Understand this, that I'm not telling nobody to take anything. Now, me, I would. I'm just letting you know they're lying. Your doctor, who do you trust, them or your doctor? What have they done for you? A lot of time they lied about medication, lied about treatment, been all off. Listen to your doctor. The doctor say you can't take it, can't take it. But ask them why. You got so many people that's political in this thing that is causing people to die. And right now I blame Cuomo for every death that happens from the time that he stopped this program to today. Because had he listened to Dr. Zelenko, Zeb Zelenko, the guy who came up with this treatment that now is being adopted all over the country, it's beyond him now, even though they're going to try to make a mockery of it, it's behind him. There's so many doctors that are using this in certain situations and seeing massive result. They can't be able to stop it. And yeah, they want to do a study for 2, 3, 6 months. Fine, you can go ahead and do that, but still come check me out. I still need to save these people's lives. My number one job is to save lives. And if I can get my hand on this stuff to save lives, fully on you, I'm going to save lives. Every death that happens, they want to put all the death on Trump. Okay, fine. Back then, yeah. But any death going forward is on the head of the governors and any politician that's stopping these 3 regiments from getting in the hands of people who are diagnosed right away as COVID positive. Right away. But let's look at this study from Lynn. Let me continue to read this. His own administration had warned that the drug could have deadly side effects when used for any other than treatment for malaria. Hold up. People are taking this to not get malaria. People are taking this treatment for rheumatoid arthritis. People are taking this for MS. People are taking this for so many reasons. Why are you misinterpreting this mess, media, newspaper? Nobody told you that you should not, a deadly side effect if you use this other than malaria. So you're telling me I got to catch malaria in order to use this. This drug is used for all kind of ailments, sicknesses, disease, and it's not causing heart issues. Putting themselves further at odds with Mr. Trump, of course. This is a clapback at Trump, who officials also renewed their praise for China's response to the pandemic. Just want to push the China thing in Trump's face. Not understanding, dude, this is bigger than Trump. You're hurting people right now with this BS. You're hurting people. Dr. Michael Ryan, executive director of WHO's emergency program, said the WHO was in day-to-day discussion with China about scientific inquiries into the animal origin of the disease. But how come they wasn't in contact with the president? Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer. How come they wasn't talking to Turtle Boy Mitch McConnell? I am very pleased to hear a very consistent message coming from China, which is one of the openness to such an approach to Dr. Ryan. So this makes me think even more that they're willing to risk the lives of Americans, all the pop shots at the president. How disgusting these people are. I'm not a fan of Trump. I'm not a Trump supporter, but I don't make this about Trump. I give Trump his credit when credit is due, just like I get everybody their credit where credit is due. I ain't got to like you in order to credit you. I ain't got to love you. I ain't got to support you to give you credit. Deaths every day because they want to keep this away from us, all because Trump. Mr. Trump has repeatedly criticized the WHO's leadership, once calling it a pipe organ for China in the handling of the outbreak. And I'm criticizing the WHO, and I'm criticizing the CDC, and I'm criticizing the FDA too, because you're making this stuff political. He talked about hydroxychloroquine. He touted it as something promising. You want to know something? It is in its proper environment. It's not as a last resort. He has also pointed to unspecified intelligence reports suggesting the virus originated in the lab of Chinese city of Wuhan, and claim which has been repeatedly denied by medical officials. If he want to believe that, let that man believe what he want. We the people, we will either believe him or don't believe him. Me, I don't believe it. I don't believe it came from a lab. And what if it did? They do have viruses in the lab. What if they did? What if something happened where they dropped something and people got infected? That's besides the point. Right now, people are dying. And there is a treatment that can help them. And these fools are trying to keep people from one part of that treatment, all to get back at Trump, because Trump got back at them. Now, let's go look at this so-called study from the Lancet. The Lancet. All right, let's read this mess and see where they're coming from. All right. Hydroxychloroquine in managing of critical ill patients with COVID-19. The need for evidence base. Who told you this is for critical ill patients? Nobody said that we can. And why are you using it for last result? I knew it was something funny about this one. Critically ill patients. You're doing the same thing that Cuomo did. Critically ill patients and other hospitals, critically ill patient. Then you send the studies back to the CDC and the FDA and show, well, people still died. People got worse. People had heart issues taking this. Of course, their hearts are already ravaged. You're going to give them medication that's not good if you take no, you don't do that. It's a lot of medications you don't give somebody when they having their lungs suffocate them and crushing the heart. It's a lot of medication. It's no different from this. The key to hydroxychloroquine is early diagnosis. With the rapid spread of the novel severe acute respiratory syndrome, just call it coronavirus, geez. Critical care physicians. Yeah, that critical care physicians. Let me bring my face up because I want y'all to see my face. I'll read this from here. Shame on the WHO. With the rapid spread of novel coronavirus, critical care physicians are seeing increasing numbers of patients with acute respiratory failure secondary to coronavirus disease and reporting mortality rates of 40 to 65% for the required mechanical ventilation, strikingly higher than the mortality rate reported for more typical acute respiratory distress syndrome associated with the disease. The focus of the therapeutic intervention has therefore not only to reverse hypoxemia and provide adequate organ support. So let me get this article back up so you can see that I'm reading straight from them. The key word is critical care physician. So they're going to stop this drug from getting in the hand of doctors who mainly use it for early diagnosis because it didn't work on critical ill people. But let me keep going. The focus of the therapeutic intervention has therefore been not only to reserve hypoxemia and provide adequate organ support, but also to decrease viral loads and thus limiting disease severity. In addition to several antiviral agent, anti-malarial drugs have been proposed as treatment that could reduce transmission of the virus, and in vitro studies have shown that chloroquine and hydroxychloroquine can both inhibit SARS-CoV-2 transmission through alkalinization of the intracellular phagolysosome, which prevent virion fusion and uncoated and therefore viral spread. Early results from the clinical studies conducted in China suggested that chloroquine use might have been associated with reduced fever, increased resolution of lung lesions on CT, and delayed disease progression. Results of the two French studies suggested that hydroxychloroquine could reduce the viral load in patients of COVID-19, in particular if combined with azithromycin. Now, look, they just said results of two French studies suggested that hydroxychloroquine could reduce the viral load in patients with COVID-19. Obviously, in that study, it did reduce the viral load in COVID-19 patients, in particular if combined with azithromycin. On the basis of these preliminary findings, chloroquine and hydroxychloroquine have been prescribed to patients to reduce the length of hospital stay. Again, why are you giving this, trying to focus on people in the hospital? The focus is to keep people out of the hospital. Now, don't get me wrong. Let me finish this one. Hospital stay and improve the evolution of COVID-19 related pneumonia. Nevertheless, the recently published surviving sepsis campaign guideline on the management of critical ill patients with COVID-19. The key word here is critically ill patients with COVID-19, concluded that there was insufficient evidence, not enough. Even with critical ill patients, they're saying it's not enough evidence to offer any recommendation on routine use of these drugs in patients admitted to the intensive care unit, ICU. How can we explain these discrepancies, and how should antimalarial drugs be used in the clinical management of patients in the ICU with severe COVID-19? Look here, dummies. Bunch of dummies. Dr. Zeb Zelenko, when he talked about how effective the malaria drug is with azithromycin and now with zinc, he never asked you to use this in an ICU setting. You tried it and you didn't see much result. People still died. Some people probably died because they're halfway, their hearts are already messed up, and then you give them the hydroxychloroquine, and you're going to blame their death on the hydroxychloroquine, to shame the hydroxychloroquine, when it's really the fact that their hearts and their lungs failed because of the viral loads were too much and the infection was too bad. Why are you using this medication in severe conditions? The whole point of it is to use it when you're not in ICU. Now, case in point, NYU Langone has been studying it, and they use it for people coming in as an inpatient, coming in from the hospital, coming in from the ambulance, or people that's walking in with it. They put them in the hospital, they give them the medicine, and it cut the fatality, it cut the rate of going to ICU 40, almost 50%. And they use two, the hydroxychloroquine with the azithromycin. Some people end up still going to ICU, but the people with hydrochloroquine, azithromycin, and the zinc is the killer. Most of them went home. The whole point of this thing is hydroxychloroquine and azithromycin. All this should be done in the early studies. It should not be done in a severe situation. You can try it and see what you can get out of it, but you're not going to get the same amount of result when you're doing it in an outpatient setting at a doctor's office. The results are 90% in that setting. The results in NYU said 44% to almost 50%. And even in an ICU setting, it may work in some cases, but most cases it may not do much. But let's continue to read. This is the study that the WHO is using as an excuse to cut down their hydroxychloroquine program instead of readjusting the program and start using it for people who are coming into the hospital or people who are first diagnosed with COVID. First, hydroxychloroquine is not expensive. I agree with them. It is readily available, and it seems to be safe. However, let me repeat that. This is the Lancet. How come the WHO is not saying this? How come, CDC is not saying this? Hydroxychloroquine is not expensive. It's cheaper, way cheaper than remdesivir. And it can keep people from ever needing remdesivir if you treat them early. However, clinical observation of the effect of this drug in patients with COVID-19 have not included critical ill patients. Why are you putting a study and focus on critical ill patients who are receiving several other medications and have organ failures? So you're going to give them treatment of this medicine after they done took everything under the sun to try to stay alive, and then here come the treatment of hydroxychloroquine, and they die anyway, and you want to put the sole blame on hydroxychloroquine. Really? Let me repeat this. Hydroxychloroquine is not expensive. That's the number one reason why they're going to fight this and push remdesivir, is because you're not going to make money off it. It's readily available. Remdesivir is not readily available. It seems to be safe. Remdesivir has not been proven to be safe. Clinical observation of the effects. See, they need to put this in red. It seems to be safe. It says it seems to be safe. This is the Lancet. It seems to be safe. However, clinical observation of the effect of this drug in patients with COVID-19 have not included critical ill patients who are receiving several other medications and have organ failure such as hepatic and renal dysfunction, which might influence drug metabolism and potentially increase the risk of adverse event. Now, the WHO is misinterpreting this study as I see. The Lancet saying is the drug is cheap, is readily available. The thing is, it's not good with people who are in critical ill. Number one is because they taking all kind of crap. And then now they taking this, something happened to them. You're going to blame this on the hydroxychloroquine. Let me read it again. The observation of the effect of this drug in patients with COVID-19 have not included critical ill patients who are receiving several other medications and have organ failures such as hepatic, renal dysfunction, which might influence drug metabolism and potentially increase the risk of adverse events. Where is this at? In people who are critically ill. So the danger is not in the people who's not critically ill. The danger is in people who's critically ill and already done got all jacked up with all kind of medications. Second, clinical data on hydroxychloroquine are far from convincing. The first study reported by Philip Goutre and colleagues, which indicated that hydroxychloroquine might be effective, had several limitations. A small cohort of patients, with only 20 participants who received hydroxychloroquine. 6 of them received azithromycin, and 16 controlled include, in the final analysis, a very short observation period, 6 days. Now I'm stopped there. The French doctor have recently upgraded his report in his study, and he studied way more than that. So update this. Absent of randomization, raising concerns about selection bias and imbalance of base characteristic intervention and control groups, and no report affected in clinical evolution. 17% were asymptomatic, and only 22% had pneumonia. The second French study, although larger, had no control arm. Moreover, the inclusion and exclusion criteria were poorly described. Most patients, 69 of them of the 75, which is 92%, had a low national early warning score, and the overall clinical outcome was similar to the reported for untreated patients with COVID-19. The combination of the hydroxychloroquine with azithromycin was associated with reduced viral load of 83 and 93% tested negative, and on days 7 and 8 respectively. But no other clinically relevant outcome was reported. In a trial in 30 patients with COVID-19, Jun Chen, a colleague, found no significant difference in the nasal viral carriages on day 7. So you're looking in the nose instead of checking the blood. When the hydroxychloroquine was compared with local standard of care, however, concomitant antiviral were given, which might have served as co-founders when interrupted the results of this study. In a second Chinese trial in 62 patients, Zhou Qin, a colleague, shown that hydroxychloroquine treatment was associated with a shorter time of clinical recovery, temperature and cough, and then placebo. The participant had mild disease, and it is not possible to extrapolate these results to critically ill patients. Again, you're not going to get the same results for early treatment as you do with critically ill. You're basing everything on how critically ill people take the treatment instead of focusing on early treatment. It's the early treatment that's going to get us back to normal, not critically ill. If you give them the treatment early, less people will end up in ICU. A study of 11 patients with COVID-19 reported persistent SARS-CoV-2 in the nasopharyngeal swab in 8 to 10 patients receiving hydroxychloroquine. Again, you're giving them hydroxychloroquine. The only thing the hydroxychloroquine can do is aid your physical, natural healing factors to do its work in healing you from this disease. It's not a cure. It's not a power punch. It's not the one that's going to go in and kill the virus. Third, whether viral loads is important and critical ill, again, talking about the ones who are critically ill. COVID-19 patients or whether progressed in lung involvements is related to an overwhelming inflammatory response unrelated to the virus remaining to be clarified. An observational study found that high viral loads was associated with disease severity. However, the influence of antiviral strategies in such advanced forms of this disease remain unproven. Fourth, the search for effective new drugs require appropriate and valid trials. The search. You're searching for something when there's already stuff out here that's treating people. And all these doctors that are treating these people are asking you to come visit their practice, come see their studies, hang with us, chill with us. We can't wait for studies to come out. People are dying. So as we do wartime treatment of people, because we are at war with a virus that you cannot see, and that is true, you go ahead and do your own study or do your own research. I'm going to keep healing these people. Yet the World Health Organization want to down talk this when everything that they're saying is based on severe cases. Although many drugs have in vitro activity against the virus, the proposal that such drugs might provide more benefit than harm is inappropriate. The proposal that such drugs may provide more benefit than harm is inappropriate in the face of no clinical evidence supporting efficacy and safety in patients with COVID-19. And I guess if you get shot in the leg in the middle of war and you need to find something to bandage that part of that leg up and put whatever you can find to mud or whatever to kind of clog those arteries where the blood don't spill out, that's unproven too. But it's enough to get you to the point where you can get the medication that you need so you can get healed. It's better than leaving you dead on the field. International multi-center studies such as Discovery Study and Solidarity Study will randomize patients with COVID-19 to receive different antiviral drugs, including hydroxychloroquine, in an adaptive study. These initiatives will provide important data to guide the management of patients with COVID-19, in other words, people that are severely ill with the disease, and help to improve understanding and the effect of the antiviral therapy in, here we go again, critically ill patients. Whether anti-malarial drugs could be effective in changing the disease course in patients with severe COVID-19, in particular, you hear that? Patients with severe. These are keywords I want you to stick in your head. In particular, in cases requiring ICU admission, intensive care unit admission, remains unknown. Moreover, the patient received anti-malarial drug who then requires ICU admission. It is not known whether the drug should be continued or considered clinically effective and stopped. Assessing viral loads either as a nasopharyngeal swab or bronchoalveolar lavage fluid, might be used in the understanding whether targeting viral replication rather than other injurious lung pathways is a reasonable therapeutic strategy. Further studies should aim to clarify the precise role, if any, of chloroquine and hydroxychloroquine in critically ill patients in COVID-19. We declare no competing interests. So these studies are one of those studies. Well, we tried this treatment with the people who came into the hospital to see if it worked. It didn't work as well as we thought it's going to work. We then decided to try hydroxychloroquine alone on people with severe cases. people who are in ICU, barely hanging on. We tried it on them and they still died. And we believe the hydroxychloroquine. They were alive before we gave the hydroxychloroquine. Hydroxychloroquine was the last thing we gave them in intensive care now, in ICU. And they died anyway. Most people in intensive care, if they don't get the right treatment to stop the viral spread, is going to die. No matter what you give them. This is where the remdesivir may be promising for those who are in the hospital. For those who are in hospital, I'm trying to keep it low in here because you're pissing me off. Who is pissing me off? CDC is pissing me off. The FDA is pissing me off because you got a medication. And the true use of hydroxychloroquine have to be explained to you from a freaking layman. That's me. I'm not a doctor, but I listen to other doctors, and all the doctors say hydroxychloroquine is only a zinc ionophore. It opens up the door for your natural healing elements to fight for you, or it opens the door for a certain drug or supplement to come in and kill the virus. Now, here's the deal. Again, NYU Langone did a study. And they did the study with hydroxychloroquine and azithromycin. And then they did a study with hydroxychloroquine, azithromycin, and zinc. The reason they used those two is because they wanted, people coming to the hospital. They want to see if it can keep them from going into ICU, keep them off a ventilator, because that's where you're going to end up getting a ventilator in your ICU. So what are we going to give these people to keep them from getting in ICU? Well, they gave them both. They gave them hydroxychloroquine. They gave them azithromycin. Some got better. Some didn't get better. Why? Well, according to some of the doctors, it's that you're not allowing the thing to go in to kill the virus. See, their body has been ravaged now where the natural healing elements of the body done all they can do no more. So if you're going to save them, you're going to have to give them more than hydroxychloroquine and azithromycin. The hydroxychloroquine, again, is a door opener. The azithromycin is the cleaner of the virus, but nothing is going in to kill the virus at that time. So some were able to recover, but most didn't. They end up going to ICU. Go read the study. But for those who took hydroxychloroquine, zinc, and azithromycin, 50% recovery rate. 50% recovery rate. They're doing the same study at Northwell. St. Francis doing a study too. You realize how much of a help that is, that even in a hospital setting, we gave them these 3 drugs, azithromycin, hydroxychloroquine, and zinc, and we almost cut down the hospitalization into ICU almost 50%. See, you're using it wrong, and you're using it in the wrong combination, and you're using it in the wrong setting. Don't wait till people get halfway dead to decide to give them medication now. What we need to know is, in a hospital setting, will hydroxychloroquine, azithromycin with the zinc, what it can do in an ICU situation, because the zinc is the killer of the virus, not the hydroxychloroquine, not the azithromycin. They are a 3-way team. I call them. They're more like, the New Day. Each 3 wrestlers have their own purpose and their own position. The hydroxychloroquine is the door opener. It opens the gap in the cell. The zinc goes in and kills the virus. The azithromycin cleans up the infected area. And even in a hospital setting, post-ICU, it is being known to be promised. Almost 50% recovery rate. 50% not going to ICU. Now, I'm interested in seeing what all 3 will do. You cannot not leave the zinc, The zinc is the killer of the virus. The studies are coming out. The zinc is the killer of the virus. And they say you don't even have to use hydroxychloroquine. There's other door openers that will allow the virus to come through. They're studying into that right now. But the whole point is, what do we do to keep people out of the hospital? How do we treat COVID like any other virus out here? It's simple. It's simple. Y'all need to go tune into these doctors and learn from them. These are the people on the real front lines, not looking through no goggles or no microscope and all that. No, these people are giving people the medication and seeing them get healed. Seeing their viral loads go to 0 in 10 days. People like Zeb Zelenko, they call him Dr. Z here in the area where I live at. Many doctors out there, many doctors have adopted that regimen. Doctors in Brazil, the whole Brazilian government adopted that regimen. Israel adopted that regimen. I think Turkey is adopting that regimen. A lot of countries are adopting that regimen now. They're not listening to the WHO, and they're not listening to CDC, and thank God they don't have to listen to the FDA, because the FDA is going to cause people to get killed by keeping this one medication along with the 2 medication from being used in early diagnosis. I'm done. This saddens me how, because they don't like Trump. Look, I get it. I'm not a fan of the dude either. And no, I'm not voting for him for president. And no, I'm not voting for Joe Biden for president. No, I don't vote for pathological lying, bigot, racist, rapists. But I can tell you this. I really believe what was done in the dark will be brought to the light. I really believe Dr. Zelenko is onto something, and other doctors see it. And it's going to get out. Ain't nothing going to stop this. The WHO or nobody will be able to stop it, because the people will start talking who had COVID and took the regimen, and they're now healed. They're going to come out the woodworks and tell this story, and none of y'all going to be able to shut them up. And then the study is going to show promising. There are going to be people to sabotage it, but the studies with all 3 medicines is going to show promising. And since they want to pick on hydroxychloroquine, I got a feeling another medicine that's going to come out that's safe is going to show strikingly positive results along with the zinc and the zithromycin. There's nothing going to stop this. And as a result, I got a feeling that Zeb Zelenko is going to get nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize. And I got a feeling that this treatment, once we figure out how we can get people treated with this early, we can get back to normal. Because the only way we can get back to normal is we test people first to see if they're positive. If they are positive, we give them proper medication right away. These 3 medications right away with the doctor's approval and the doctor monitoring them. And then after they go back to their doctor and find out they clear, then get them back in society. When everybody do that, that's positive, then we ain't got to worry about people getting sick. And even if they did get the virus, they can go home once they get sick. They can go home. They can go to the doctor the next day. They can get the treatment. And days later, they'll be back just like any other disease. This disease is capable of being managed. But we got to deal with these lying propagandists, backstabbers, opportunists, greedy, money-hungry, pharmaceutical, and medical complex trying to profit off your and my health as normal. Even in the middle of a freaking crisis that can kill them, they're still trying to find ways to push a vaccine and make money. Go, fine, push your vaccine. Anything can help. But right now, we don't have time to wait for vaccine. As the Lancing said, this drug is safe. It said this drug is safe. It's only dangerous in an environment where there's severe COVID cases. Severe. The real power of these medications is before you get to that point where you're severe. It will keep you from getting to severe. It will keep you out of the hospital. Majority of them time, it'll keep you out of the hospital. Thank you for the opportunity to get a chance to test out this mic. Thank you for giving me an opportunity to really get on the side of this and shout this out. They're lying to you. I say do your own study. Stop hearing what they're telling you. Pull up the document like I do and actually read it. They never said that this thing is dangerous for most people. It's dangerous for people in severe conditions. Even Lansing acknowledged that. They said the drug is cheap and pretty much safe. Only dangerous in severe conditions. The whole point we're yelling right now is stop focusing on using this medication for severe conditions. And if you do, throw in the zinc. What you want to do is predominantly use this medication along with the other two medications once people are diagnosed with COVID. Once they are positive, treat them. Treat them, get them home, in the house, isolated, treat them till the medication gone, check them, do a checkup. If you see the viral load is down to 0 and they're pretty much negative, get the antibodies, put them back into society. Simple. Simple. Why are we complicating this? And why are you using this to try to get back at people politically while people are dying every day? The WHO got blood on their hands. Any politician who was joking this and laughing at this got blood on their hands. You all got blood on your hands. I guarantee you that the amount of people die is nowhere near the amount of people who probably would have a heart situation. But again, most of the people who have a heart situation are people who are severe that may take this treatment. But we can find other ways to get zinc into the system. There's other drugs that can get into there and open the door besides hydroxychloroquine. But get something in there to open the door so the zinc can get in so people can get healed. In the meantime, treat people early so we all can live. And stop lying. I'm Rob Brown with the Rob Report. Good night.